Kaelahn, and Thor Ragnarok is my top favorite Marvel films of all time.
How you doing? Jacob Cameron, aka Jake Elz. Thor Ragnarok could have been better.
You said that's a
So Thor is trapped where essentially he wants to, I guess, be on Earth and help the Avengers, but also he wants to help his natural realm of Asgard. And essentially it takes him on this journey where he meets his, unbeknownst to him, sister Hela, played by Kate Blanchett, a baddie, and then is also trying to save his brother, the trickster, Loki. And he travels to a foreign planet where he has to try and save his brother and Asgard because Hela has cast them out, trying to not bring about Ragnarok, which is the end of days for Ragnarok. It is the apocalypse of the Norse mythology.
Thor, he gets into it with his sister, and then he leaves because he gets kicked out and they cut his hair. And then he meets the Hulk, and it's pretty funny because Taika Waititi wrote it. And then they go back and they fight her and they win.
Motherfucker.
It's literally what fucking happened.
Yeah, he did a better short and sweet synopsis, but let's look at the real facts here, okay? I had the lore down, I'm just saying, man, I know, alright? I'm sorry. You know what? Don't judge me. Thor Ragnarok in one sentence would be Thor meets the Goonies.
Word.
Deep. Y'all aren't there yet.
Word.
You know what? Once y'all get there, you'll be there. But you're not yet.
Avengers 4 minus 5 other cast members.
You motherfucker.
We're gonna keep him.
Can I eat it?
No,
Okay, so I sat through the first Thor films, and they're straight trash. The first one's boring as shit. The second one is, really funny, but still boring as shit. And the third one is exciting, funny. It has everything that you've been looking for from Thor. How do you say his name?
Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi. The film What We Do in the Shadows, to this day, came out 4 or 5 years ago, and I still remember a line from the trailer in which werewolves versus vampires say we're not werewolves, we're swearwolves.
No,
We're not swearwolves, we're werewolves.
I'm drunk. Leave me alone, Preston. God damn it. I hate doing this with you because every time you judge the fuck out of me and I'm just sitting here drunk as shit trying to recount my entire life. You fuck. Either way, I remember that line vividly.
I've seen all of Taika's shit. I saw his first... I forgot the name of it. It's his first film. I think it's called Boy. It's very good. Very good. Subverted my expectations. Went above and beyond. Hunt for the Wilder People, in my opinion, is one of the greatest adventure films of all time.
I always wanted to see that.
And I think that the idea that he had for this movie was probably very well thought out and everything that he put into it, but I just feel like it still ended up being just another Marvel movie. You have one villain that's the same villain we've seen a million times before, just somebody who wants to take over the world. We get this hero struggle that doesn't even pertain to the villain. It's all off-world. It's all everything that goes on with Jeff Goldblum and the Hulk, which is great, but it doesn't go back to the real problem. And then you go back to it, but it's exactly what I expected. I just saw a fight, and then it ended, and they won, and there was no real conflict between him and the main antagonist, and I thought that was troublemaking.
I think if I had saw Thor Ragnarok on first cycle, I would have been blown away and I would have been really excited about it. But on their first cycle, they were kind of just testing the waters and they were seeing what worked and what didn't. And with Thor, it took them longer to figure out what works and what doesn't. So for me, going in, I've always expected something else and expected to be somewhat disappointing, but if it stays true to somewhat the comics and also stays true to like what the formula that Marvel knows works, then I'm a little more receptive. I think the scale for Marvel films is different from regular films because they have a pantheon of films like to draw from, and they've created an entire culture around their films.
I have rebuttals.
Please.
Please rebut.
I feel
Rebut.
that we should not hold these franchises to a certain mold. I feel like we see films, and I think Thor Ragnarok deviated from it a little bit, but you watch movies like Black Panther and even Captain America Civil War or Guardians of the Galaxy that just blow your expectations out of the water in terms of narrative. I mean, obviously visual effects are always going to be a huge focus in those movies, but they just the design and the aesthetic and the way that they delivered, this, high level, the visual effects market is basically what the Marvel universe and like Star Wars and all these sci-fi movies are based in. But I just feel like you watch a movie like Hunt for the Wilder People, which is so good. The fact that it wasn't nominated for Oscars last year is amazing. But like you see Thor Ragnarok and you expect it to deviate even more because of you have such like this prominent director in the indie community, and I just feel like it didn't reach that far. And I feel like holding it to a certain mold or being like, okay, well, this is what you have to expect from Marvel movies. I feel like that's not fair game anymore. Okay.
That's nice.
Yeah.
A little watermelon?
Cucumber.
Flavor? Oh. People who are literally in it, not because of the art, but because of the money, they're going to come in and say, like, make the movie you want, but also stick to the formula.
Right.
Like, they have to, kind of like weave and bob through the avenues that they want them to see. I mean, like, at the same time, I think that Thor Ragnarok, Guardians, and etc. like worked because they didn't have enough faith in it, and they didn't think like, this could work poorly, but you know what? We won't lose that much money on it. I don't think it should be judged differently, but it has to be.
So,
Not you. I'm just saying the film, the narrative of the film is problematic.
your girl, problematic. The way she talks,
Problematic.
Her music,
right.
problematic.
My girl, she tight as fuck.
Solid, maybe like 6.75. Maybe in this 7. Let's give it a 7 because the writing is good. But the arc of the story and to have this epic grandeur that like goes with a movie like this, you got to back it up with some solid narrative, and I think that's what gives you a 7.
On the Marvel scale, I'll give it a 10. But on the normal film scale, I will give it a 8.5.
The Marvel scale?
What is it on the Marvel scale?
Marvel scale? Honestly, Marvel scale, yes. Marvel scale, I would give it a solid 8. But you're competing with Guardians on the Marvel scale, which is a solid 9.5.
Oh yeah, easy.
And then you're going to get Black Panther, which is a solid 9.75. And then
solid 10.
And then you've got
Biased but solid 10.
and then there's Winter Soldier, which is a solid also 9.5. Those are my 3 faves.
Every white boy loves Winter Soldier.
I love Winter
It's
Soldier.
hard. No, we're doing this. I'm sorry. Like, no, everyone slurps
I hate
Winter
every Marvel
Soldier.
movie except
I think Thor Ragnarok is in the top 3 tier of Marvel films of all time because of original storytelling, taking the lore as seriously as it needs to be, and the performances that we see.
Good dialogue, good performances, no story. Same shit I've seen too many times. Get it together, Marvel. Y'all got Taika, y'all fucking up.
Marvel doesn't have a story, but you like the song doesn't have a story. Anyway, we're done.
Different movie. Totally different movie.
I'm quiet though.
Different kind of movie.
if Thor Ragnarok was like song to song, it'd be my favorite Marvel movie. I'd be like, this is wild.
Thor Ragnarok.
Directed by Terrence Malick.
Oh my god.
I would be bugging.
The Tree of Asgard.
The Tree of Asgard, please, someone get on that immediately.